5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
A billion prayers in unison, the world waiting with bated breath as India attempts something that has never been done before, landing on the moon's south pole. After a 40-day journey covering almost 3.84 lakh kilometers from Earth to the moon, the Chandrayaan is all set to attempt a soft landing on the moon's south pole, if the conditions are favorable for landing. The southern pole has so far remained unexplored. The occurrence of water, ice may hold clues to the early solar system. No country has landed on the moon's south pole yet. So that's what we're tracking here on our special programming for Chandrayaan-3. I'm Mangalam Malu, with me, Archana. Hi Archana. If the Chandrayaan-3 succeeds, and we all hope and pray it does, it will be the first, and India will be the first country to land on the southern pole, also known as the dark side of the moon.
Yes, Mangalam, indeed it is a big day for not just India but the whole world, because there's a race to the moon, and of course for obvious reasons. Let's give our viewers a basic lowdown on this mission. This is the Chandrayaan-3 mission, India's third mission to the moon after Chandrayaan-1 and Chandrayaan-2. The previous lunar mission, Chandrayaan-2, was launched in 2019. The lander had crashed during the descent phase, but its orbiter remains operational even till today. The objective of Chandrayaan-3 is to make a soft landing on the moon's south pole. The lander Vikram and rover Pragyan will have a mission life of 1 lunar day, which is about 14 Earth days, to study the surroundings there, to also understand the composition of the moon, the geology, and basically unlock the moon's secrets. The budget of this mission is just under $75 million, Mangalam.
Well, just under $75 million. That is lower than, some of the big budget movies that we've seen, not just in India, but globally as well. But, as we await and as we count down to the Chandrayaan landing, which will be less than 1 hour from now, and the timer comes up for you close to around 56 odd minutes when I last checked, we have a battery of guests, experts and enthusiasts joining us to take us through this journey as well. First up, we're joined by Dr. A.S. Pillai, who is the founder and CEO of BrahMos Aerospace. We have Raja Guha Thakurta, who's also the professor at astronomy at the University of California, Santa Cruz, joining us too. Thanks a lot, gentlemen, for joining in. Let me come to you, Mr. Pillai, first. What a moment this is. I mean, once we do land, and we all hope and pray that it lands safely, what do you think is the next course of action for the world? We all get to know a little more about the south side of the moon.
Yes. See, since we are landing first near the South Pole, 69-degree latitude, which is an unexplored place, we are going to get a lot of information. This information is available to the whole world. So the whole planning of the future missions by the Artemis, by the Russian and China together, all these things are depending on the resources available on the moon. We have got energy materials, we have got a lot of elements which are not available on the Earth. They are all available because nearly 4.6 billion years moon was getting continuous bombardment from the sun. And due to that, not only the greatest got formed, it has also got very rare materials like helium-3. So because of that, the information which is going to come after the successful launch today, you will be giving that information to the world. So world is going to know that this is a place where we should have our own experimental stations. So by 2026, the Americans will have their station there under the Artemis program. And by 2029, China and Russia together, they're going to have a station there. So these stations need water. So water is a very important resource for generating the fuel as well as for the oxygen. So this is once that it is available, then staying for a long time is possible. So that is what is going to be the greater input which we are going to give to the world.
Right. Mr. Pillai, please hold on to that thought. I want to come back to you because you said that you're 100% confident that Chandrayaan-3 will make a landing. But I want to go to Raja Guha Thakurta, Professor of Astronomy at the University of California, Santa Cruz. Mr. Thakurta, this is the trickiest phase. You know what we saw recently, Russia's Luna mission also crashed during this phase. Even Chandrayaan-2 faced a lot of challenges during this phase. For the benefit of our viewers, could you help us understand why these 15 minutes when the descent is happening are the most crucial and the most challenging ones?
Well, this phase is crucial because, of course, the moon's surface is a rocky, unweathered, largely unweathered surface, compared to the surface of the Earth, which has had billions of years, as Dr. Pillai said, of weathering by wind and water. The moon's surface has had relatively little weathering, a lot of cratering, and it's a very rough surface. Rock is a hard substance, and it's not at all a smooth surface. So this is really quite literally where the rubber meets the road. It's this section of the mission where to land a craft softly, gently, without damaging sensitive equipment is it's a very, very difficult phase of the mission.
So we know that they went about the failure-based approach, where they actually took into account things that could fail versus what happened in Chandrayaan-2. With the data that you have, Mr. Thakurta, what do you think are the chances of there being a successful landing with the kind of preparation that there is this time around?
As an astrophysicist by training, I don't have any particular insight into the chances of failure or success in this critical phase. As you said, with every mission like this, you have to think about risks and you have to try and retire them to the extent possible. And of course, ISRO has done its best job at doing that. Every mission is expensive. It takes years of human effort. There's a lot at stake, and retiring risks as far as possible is, of course, foremost importance.
All right, please stay on with us. We're also joined by Shivani Bajaj, who's joining us from the CSIR headquarters in New Delhi with a very special guest. Shivani, over to you.
Well, yes, in another 15 to 20 minutes, the ISRO Command Center is going to broadcast the Chandrayaan-3 soft landing on Moon's South Pole. A special screening has been organized here, and the Minister of State, Department of Space, Dr. Jitendra Singh, will be a part of the special screening, along with various other secretaries of the Indian government. Students from various schools of New Delhi and also scientists from Delhi are also expected to watch the screening from here. Festivities in the atmosphere, rangolis, posters all around. And inside the hall, I'm standing inside the hall at the CSIR headquarters. There is a huge screen behind me that you can see that has been set up for the live telecast. We have with us right now Dr. Satyanarayan, Chief Scientist of CSIR. Sir, thank you so much for joining us here on CNBC-TV18. So first of all, the biggest question, how are you feeling? India is looking at a historical event.
Naturally, as being a scientist, we are all excited. We are looking for this proud moment of Indian success. That too, we are joining the fourth in the elite group of landing in Moon. And Chandrayaan-3 will be a memorable day in the history of Indian science and also in space science. Yeah. And being a CSIR person, we are doubly proud that this Chandrayaan-3 has underwent 3,000 hours of wind tunnel test in our CSIR National Aerospace Laboratory in Bengaluru. That made us doubly proud. to witness the soft landing of Chandrayaan. And we are also excited, like the examination fever, no? Yeah. We are all in the toes just to witness. And the Honorable Minister is going to be with us. That will be another boost for us. And the entire country is looking after. Thank you.
Last time also, there was a lot of nervous energy, and as we say in space science, there is no failure. You just learn. Yes. So how is that different from today's what we are looking at today? Have we learned from that past experience, and are we sure that this time it's going to work?
Yes. CSIR has taken enormous efforts. They made a cautious move, and they are going to control second by second the movement or altitude reduction, so that by all means we pray and expect that Chandrayaan-3 will safely land in the moon.
All right, thank you, Shivani, for that wonderful conversation. Let's go back to our guests. We're also joined by Syed Maqbool Ahmed, former ISRO NASA scientist. Thank you so much for making time and speaking to CNBC-TV18. It's often said that science and emotions don't go well together, but it's a moment where, the whole of country is united. It's a festive moment, but of course, there's a lot of nervousness. There's a lot of, anticipation, excitement. But how do you see ISRO's journey, and what are your views on today's iconic moment?
Exhilarating, nervous a bit, but I just like to quote ISRO's chairman, who said that they have done so many tests in the past 4 years. I think almost all those 4 years. Just now I heard that 3,000 hours of wind tunnel tests they have done. Similarly, they have also done cold test and hot test to the extreme limit, where every sensor has been tested again and again and again. Similarly, the throttleable engines were actually fired so nicely that everything is just like you have a racing horse, but you should know how to actually make it, that nimble movement of the horse, you should know how to control it. All those tests were actually the proof of what they have done. They made sure that the horse will listen to them, and the horse will softly land on the south pole of the moon, is all I can say.
Right. Mr. Ahmed, just hang in there. We're getting visuals from NASA as well. They are also awaiting, and there are being projections beamed out there at, all those centers at ISRO, and live pictures that come in. A lot of excitement, a lot of anticipation. You've worked at both ISRO and NASA. Could you give us a sense of how ISRO is different? Everyone talks about India being extremely cost-effective, frugal. Give us some examples, give us some anecdotes.
ISRO has its own way of the Indian DNA, where you have a huge hierarchical way of, let's say, deputy project manager, deputy project director, like that, and a tremendous amount of respect from person A to B to C as you run up the hierarchy. But even though that's not quite very different, when I was at Jet Propulsion Lab, nobody cares for anybody. That doesn't mean that I'm putting it in negative sense. I'm only trying to say the guy who does the mechanical work in my group used to call my boss, "Hey Joe, you know what? This would never work." So that's a different culture altogether, which I saw in NASA. Whereas in ISRO, it was very, very different. So the DNAs were different, but every other project, either in JPL or in Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, where I work, the goal is all same. You got to reach that place and deliver what you are expected to. So that way, I think ISRO has very, very different way of working, but still they aspire to reach their goals. Similarly, JPL has its own way, but very, very different though.
Right. Mr. Ahmed, please stay on with us. I want to talk to you about Chandrayaan-1 mission. You were a member of that. But let's go back to Dr. Pillai, because on August 19th, Dr. Pillai said a very significant thing. He said that India can start celebrating already because you're 100% sure that Chandrayaan-3 will be a success. What makes you so confident? Is it because the upgrades that ISRO has made this time?
Yeah. Many people are in nervous form, but I am not. See, what had happened was in the Chandrayaan-2, there was a serious error in the algorithm, which made us to deviate from the path, and then whatever safety margins they are given, that was not adequate to come back to their normal position. But that has been taken care of well. The guidance algorithm has been completely tuned. The new algorithm has been simulated, and they have gone through extensive the hardware simulation, and they have found out that there is margins have to be increased. They increase the margin, and any deviations from the course can be corrected all through. So when it is injected, this starts operation from nearly 30 kilometers. Now it is around 25 kilometers. When it starts, the velocity is going to be 1.6 kilometers per second. So from that, they have to reduce to something like 800 meters per second, and then down to 300 meters per second, finally to that. That sequence has been well planned, simulated, and it has been evaluated very well, reviewed a number of times, and each part has been tested. The propulsion module, earlier there were 5 engines, now it is only 4. So the whole, methodologically, the whole force requirement, everything has been calculated and introduced with a higher rating. That is the 700 Newton engine is going to definitely help to meet the requirement of soft landing. So all these things have been simulated, and I can assure you that the path which has been now designed from the for the 15 minutes operation is going to be exactly it is going to follow. That has been simulated and it has been found, and we have got enough confidence to say that the mission will be 100% successful.
That's incredibly comforting, that confidence, Mr. Pillai, that you're bringing out here. And for all of us out here, the common example that we use is that it is not rocket science, so it's easy. But this time around, it literally is rocket science. We're now joined by Archana Nair, who's a professor at IIT Guwahati as well. You guys do this for a living. You all, crunch numbers, physics, and look at rocket science. From all of that has taken place in Chandrayaan-3 so far, what have your key learnings been?
The new locations that is planned for the landing. So that is very specific for us, the South Pole. Okay, being a geologist, we are looking to the South Pole, and we are thinking that there will be solid ice or solid water in this part of the South Pole, and therefore we are very keen on having that safe landing. And then the rovers will give some key findings using that LIPS, and as well as the X-ray spectrometer that is there in the rover can get some good signatures of ice or solid water. That's what we are looking forward. And I believe that because the same similar type of lander and rover they were planning for the Chandrayaan-2, they plan. And now the main concentration is to do the safe landing. So that must be the concentration of ISRO so far. And I believe that as all the panelists have told, they are 100% confident that there will be a soft landing.
Right, thank you, Ms. Nair, for that wonderful thought. I want to come back to Mr. Ahmed. So you were a member of Chandrayaan-1 mission. Our viewers would love to know, what is it like being in that team? When the first time the idea of going to the moon was conceived, Chandrayaan-1 happened in 2009, and I think it made some incredible findings that the whole world benefited from. NASA we helped NASA discover a lot of things. Can you tell us about the team, the Chandrayaan-1, 2 and 3 missions? What does it feel to be a part of these incredible missions?
Thanks a lot. That's a very interesting question, even though it's very, very different than what we are actually standing right now as the Vikram is landing. So it was President Kalam's idea that don't just go and revolve around the moon, have some messenger which will go and touch the moon, like embrace the moon. So we went for a thing called Moon Impact Probe. And then in one of the meetings where President Kalam, the president of our country, goes to Udaipur in an international meeting, and he says, in the night that day, he holds a meeting with his colleagues from VSSC, and then they say that, we'll have a impactor which will go and touch the moon. In there, my mentor, Professor Sridharan, he comes up with an idea that I'll fly a mass spectrometer. So the idea was given that a science experiment will be done as the impactor will go and fall on the moon. And that was 22 minutes of mission. So I was handpicked from Department of Atomic Energy, and then I go to Department of Space, and I build this commercial instrument, and it was to be going to the moon. Nobody in VSSC or in ISRO will believe that a commercial mass spectrometer can be qualified for a space. And we spent 4 years, and we chose the best possible mass spectrometer and then qualified it for deep space, for moon, and it came up with flying colors, as a matter of fact. I still remember the Moon Impact Probe mission that day, 14th November 2008, where the 22 minutes countdown was there, and my probe went, the Moon Impact Probe was finished, and the signal ceased to come. So it's just like a soldier going there, giving his life and getting the data back. My mentor, 60 years old, he was jumping like a child. We got the data within few minutes. And that was an amazing feeling. I will never, ever forget that feeling.
Thank you for sharing that feeling with us. I mean, we could feel it as you were narrating it with, so much passion and such nostalgia. What we'll do is we'll take a break. But just before we do that, everyone's talking about the Vikram lander, yes, right? What an ode it is to the father of our space mission, Dr. Yes. Vikram Sarabhai. And there are a lot of these subtle nods that we give to all our founding fathers of the space mission as well, right? One of them is Vikas engine. While by its word, Vikas means progress, but it's also a polite nod to Vikram Ambalal Sarabhai. That's why it's Vikas. And I was just looking at the things that Dr. Vikram Sarabhai founded. We all credit him for being, India's space, founding father for India's space mission. Yeah. You know what? He was also the founder of India's leading business management institute. He was among the founders of the IIM Ahmedabad. He was also the founder of Operations Research Group, which is India's first market research organization. Ahmedabad Textile Industry Research Association. He founded the Center for Environment Planning and Technology. And we run out of time in the kind of organizations that he founded, including the likes of Darpana Academy of Performing Arts, which he founded, of course, along with his wife.
What a resume, what a
resume, what a C.
Yes, yes. Right? And of course, the country is indebted to Vikram Sarabhai and APJ Abdul Kalam, Dr. Kalam. And I think we will come back to that point. We will slip into a short break. Stay tuned.
You're watching us here on our special coverage. We're counting down minutes, just 24 minutes left for history to be created as Chandrayaan-3 is likely to soft land on the south pole of the moon. We have made a makeshift aerospace sort of studio here. With me is Archana, and we have a battery of experts as well, eminent experts. So let's go to them. Now we are joined by Kishan Thakkar, who's a co-founder at Galaxy Eye. We also have with us A.S. Pillai of BrahMos Aerospace, Professor of Astronomy Rajat Guha Thakurta, and Archana Nair of IIT Guwahati. Let's talk about, and we're obviously joined by the former ISRO and NASA scientist Syed Maqbool Ahmed as well. So let's go across to Mr. Thakkar now, Kishan Thakkar. Everyone's talking about the big opportunity that there is in the Indian defense space, but slowly and slyly this opportunity, business opportunity in space, is also underway. Estimates suggest that it could be $100 billion worth business by 2040. Mr. Thakkar, where do you think are these opportunities, and what role does the private sector have to play in these things?
That's a really good question, actually. So if you actually look at it, the space opportunity in space is there everywhere, but India has been actually lagging behind in this, where India's contribution has been limited to somewhere around 4% in the entire world. But in now India, there are these opportunities mainly lie in various sectors like the launch. Then there is a aspect of Earth ground stations that communicate with satellites, then development of satellites, then developments of landers and rovers. So there have been companies coming up in India like Galaxy who are building satellites. There have been companies who have been building rovers. There was Team Indus who worked on competition for a moon lander similar to this for a Google competition. Similarly to that, there have been many companies who make rockets, launchers, ground stations. So in that way, the whole market is spread across over various opportunities, and the private segment is slowly coming up in India as well.
Right. All right. I want to ask something very interesting. This is about the global collaboration. Professor Rajat Guha Thakurta, in this mission, NASA, ESA, which is European Space Agency, are collaborating, right? They will help Chandrayaan-3 transmit messages. They will keep a check on Chandrayaan's health because there is a certain limitation as to the expanse of our antennas or our satellites that can track communication. Do you think this is the future when a global collaboration will pave the way for greater, journeys in distant locations or more ambitious projects?
I do think this is the way. I do hope this is the way. These missions are extremely expensive, and as a human species, to complement one another's efforts, different space agencies of different countries, instead of repeating an experiment that one mission may have already completed, it makes more sense to take complementary approaches where one mission is looking at certain aspects, in this case of the moon, another mission might have looked at other aspects. I do see global collaboration in other aspects of science, technology, and engineering, and the moon landing and the space missions are no exception to that.
Yes, absolutely. All eyes are on the Artemis mission as well. It is one of the most ambitious missions till date. We're also joined by a space expert, Ratan Srivastava. He's also the managing director at the Indian division of Borg Group Asia. Thank you for joining us on the show. I'm going to start with the most cliched question. How does it feel, and what are your hopes from this mission? The countdown has begun. The clock is ticking.
So thank you for the cliched question, and the cliched answer is we are all hoping that it goes well, and I know ISRO has prepared extremely well. It has taken the lessons from Chandrayaan-2, which is still orbiting, and based upon the information that we have been receiving from Chandrayaan-2 about the surface of the moon, we are looking at what best can be done in terms of the landing location, which is extremely important, in addition to the lessons that we have learned from Chandrayaan-2, which is how the lander should behave. For example, the Chandrayaan-2 had 5 engines. This has 4 engines. This will have greater control over the landing because 2 engines would be functional when we get into from the horizontal mode to the vertical mode. Scientifically and engineering-wise, there has been a lot of improvement and development. The best development has happened in the field of AI and algorithms and the software that has been made to ensure that it thinks, the computers onboard computer think based upon what they see on ground. So, for example, it's like the camera, it sees the camera, it sees where it is, sees the location, and then decides whether it should be landed in here based upon the coordinates which has been fed into it. So I think, cliched answer, yes, we are very hopeful. We are hopeful it will happen. But bigger than this is the thing that, this is a huge red letter day for the Indian industry. This is a totally Make in India project. And in this, as we can see, each and every component that has gone into it, whether it is electronics, whether it is pyrotechnics, whether it is the metallurgy part, everything is from India. BHEL, Midhani, HAL, Godrej, Walchandnagar, Centum, Anand Technologies, MTAR, you name it, it's all been done in India. So it's a huge day for India as well, because this is the reason that we've been able to do it in such a small cost of 615 crores, because it's almost sourced everything from India.
Yep, we take that point. In fact, this morning we've been talking about the way in the stock markets as well, a lot of these suppliers were buzzing around in trade. The names that you mentioned, L&T, BHEL, MTAR Tech, Midhani, Paras Defense, Godrej Aerospace, and a couple of the unlisted players as well. Cliched question, cliched answer, but the best cliche would be when Vikram lands safely and then puts out a tweet saying India looks sare jahan se acha. The exact same thing that Rakesh Sharma said to Indira Gandhi when he first landed on the moon and was asked how does India look from there. But Mr. Ahmed, coming back to you as well, how important will this be, or how will this change the morale of everyone at ISRO for the next few missions as well? We have Aditya L1 coming as well, and Gaganyaan, all these missions that ISRO is upon. How much does the success or non-success, we won't call failure here, success or non-success of such events impact the morale of all the employees at ISRO, all the experts at ISRO?
The Mars mission actually elevated or took ISRO right next to the best players in aerospace research, or you may call it planetary research. But the Chandrayaan-2 Vikram debacle certainly gave one kind of a, ISRO did not take it easily. It was quite a jolt, I must say, even though I don't work for ISRO for the past 7-8 years and all. But indeed, it was a huge debacle for folks at ISRO. Now you can't believe what all has been done. And in the past 2 months, Chairman ISRO has come into the public forum and he has explained every nitty-gritty aspect. And he says that we are not actually trying to successfully land on the moon. We removed every other failure aspect. That's an amazing statement. That's how the JPL guys, the EDS guys in JPL will say, even if they got 1 week just before the Curiosity was to land, they ruled out all the failure modes. And that's how the ISRO's thinking has been. And I'm sure this particular landing will not only make the morale high, it will also actually elevate the ISRO's, the so-called frugal way of reaching near space now will actually be the frugal way of landing on any extraterrestrial object, is all I can say.
Right. It's 5:48 p.m. and the count, it's so near. We are still in that suspense zone, that very critical, crucial, challenging phase. The descent is underway as we speak. In simple words, if the lander is in a horizontal position, all it has to do is it has to slowly move in a vertical position and land. This is the best way I could understand and explain it to you. Another important point I want to make, and I want to speak to Archana Nair, Associate Professor, IIT Guwahati. Professor, I want to understand something from you. You're a woman at IIT Guwahati, and it would be unfair not to talk about the incredible women at ISRO. The Mars mission was led by a woman, Chandrayaan-3. Ritu Karidhal is known for her incredible achievements. Women in STEM, women in sciences, women doing all amazing things. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yes. And as I understand, one thing I would like to state that when we talk about the woman representation in planetary science, it's much more. If you see in the international arena also, there are so many women scientists who are leading the planetary geoscience or planetary sciences. So if you remember the Chandrayaan-1, in Chandrayaan-1 itself, we had the NASA instrument called Moon Mineral Mapper. We had the PI, Professor Carly Peters. She's a woman scientist, and I have been closely associated with her during that time. So that's why. Like that. So and as you said, in the Mangalyaan mission as well as in the Chandrayaan missions, everywhere we have woman representation, and as a woman, it feels very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it must. And, we have a great history of incredible women doing amazing work at ISRO in particular and across all the other fields as well. And women in ISRO and women in space in particular, two Indians really stand out, or people of Indian origin. One is Kalpana Chawla, who we remember very fondly, and the other one would be Sunita Williams. And she's also put out some comments wishing everyone the best as well. And the big news, as Archana said as well, Vikram lander has begun its powered descent. So we'll hold on with bated breath, crossed fingers, and some prayers as well. But at the same time, let's go back to Mr. Thakurta. How do you see this moment post the landing? Everyone's talking about, yes, once it safely lands, thereafter 14 days, even if you find some, important things on the moon, there would be further missions that would build on this as well. In that, you think India will lead the world?
It certainly will, because this is, as you said, no craft has landed in the south pole of the moon. I just want to digress to say for a moment, as I've had the privilege of meeting Sunita Williams. She's become a friend of our family. In fact, my wife received an email from her that was sent from the space station. That's the only time I've received an email from the space station. But yes, it's a pivotal moment. Look, irrespective of what happens, the next few minutes are going to be pivotal in the history of lunar research. I can hardly wait.
Well, you got an email from the space station. The closest we could do of a space station is this little studio. And I've sent an email to my colleague here. So you can proudly say that we've got an email from closer to a space-based space station and not really the space station.
And I think, Mangalam, I think our viewers should know about this cool t-shirt that you're wearing. And, I think this is a very sweet gesture. And I had a very tough time deciding to match up with what you're wearing. Do you want to talk about this cool ISRO t-shirt?
Well, everyone talks about the cool NASA merchandise and all the fancy brands that wear their NASA merchandise and all of that and stuff. I said, why not ISRO? We've been around for a little over 50 years and we've already launched 345 satellites in the world. We're among the top 6 space agencies. So India is marching forward. We're also going to the dark side of the moon. So hail ISRO, and that's exactly what we do. We wear our heart on our sleeve and our sleeve says ISRO. We take a short break. On the other side, we will count down to the moon landing that India will do.
Right, welcome back. We continue our rolling coverage on the touchdown of Chandrayaan-3 on Moon's South Pole. It is 5:56 p.m. 6:04 is that moment where the touchdown will happen. The descent process is underway. This is the most challenging and the trickiest phase of this entire mission. Mangalam, how does it feel? Are you nervous?
I am quite nervous, I'll be very honest, but more than nervous, there's this excitement, inexplicable one, because before we went into the break, our ticker team did say that it was less than 27 kilometers away from the moon.
Yes.
Now, in Bombay parlance, or if you're in Mumbai, if you're standing at the tip of Cuff Parade, 27 kilometers would take you to the airport. And now, as we speak, we're told that it's less than 10 kilometers away from the moon, the lander. And that, again, in Mumbai parlance, is as much as from the tip of the city to the Worli ceiling. So it's
but I think there's no
as
traffic
close
jam.
as it gets. There is no traffic
Bombay,
jam, but then there are some rumblers and there are those terrifying moments. It's nervousness, it's excitement, it's a sense of history, it's everything. And I believe our guests would have experienced that when they were there.
Definitely. And to take a leaf out of this important point you made, I want to go back to Mr. Ahmed, who was part of Chandrayaan-1 mission. Mr. Ahmed, are you there with us?
I think Mr. Ahmed also has decided to sit back, relax, and recall all the incidents that he felt through at that time as well. Mr. Ahmed, we are. Are we audible? Okay, go ahead, sir. Mr. Ahmed, the last 5 minutes, it's the business end of things. How were the feelings in those last 5 minutes when you were part of Chandrayaan-1?
And if I may add to his question, does it remind you of 2009? Is this a sense of deja vu?
Exactly. As you people were talking, I was just saying that the rough braking is all over and its attitude holding with a point. This is where Chairman ISRO again had told that Chandrayaan-2 actually ran into problem right now as I'm speaking to you. And you see that there are claps going on there. This actually says that it has actually tilted vertically up, and this actually means we have crossed the Chandrayaan-2 movement. We are on the right path, vertically going down.
The Chandrayaan-2 lost contact 7.2 kilometers away from the moon. Now Vikram lander is less than 3 kilometers away from the surface of the moon. It's coming home, and how? What a moment this is. This is a moment that will be remembered in history as India becomes the first country in the world to successfully soft land on the southern side of the moon. So the dark side of the moon, we have conquered you, less than 3 kilometers away from the surface of the moon. Right. Everyone's clapping, everyone's excited.
Yes, what a moment there, Mangalam. And also, let's tell our viewers that Prime Minister Modi has also joined virtually. He's in Johannesburg attending the BRICS summit. So the visuals on your screens are of Prime Minister Modi attending this summit. And look at these visuals, the numbers on the screen. These numbers speak about an achievement. They tell a story of India's ambition and aspirations.
All right, so let's hear out.
The horizontal as well as the vertical velocity is now being constantly reduced, and the lander module has begun its descent towards the landing site.
जी हाँ, आप अपने स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं ये जो पथ निर्धारित किया गया है, लैंडर पूरी तरह से उसी को ही फॉलो कर रहा है। इस समय हम लगभग 200 मीटर की हाइट से भी कम आ चुके हैं। अब हम ये देख सकते हैं कि हम लगभग 150 मीटर की ऊंचाई पे हैं चंद्रमा के सतह से।
We are approaching the vertical descent phase 2, which will have the lander module hovering at nearly 150 meters above the lunar surface.
जी हाँ, आप इस तालियों के गड़गड़ाहट को सुन सकते हैं, जो कि सेकेंड हाइब्रिड फेज के कंप्लीट होने के बाद इन सारे वैज्ञानिकों के द्वारा की जा रही है। जी हाँ, आप अगर फिर से ध्यान से देखें तो एल्टीट्यूड पुनः कम होता जा रहा है। अभी हम लोग लगभग 135 मीटर की ऊंचाई पे हैं।
The sensors that are updating at this point are providing confirmation of the safety of the landing site.
As expected, the retargeting is going on, and this is a very good signature for the lander. अभी आप ये देख सकते हैं कि लैंडर की ऊंचाई लगभग 65 मीटर के आसपास बची हुई है.
Currently, only 2 engines are now being fired, and we are nearly at zero velocity, vertical and horizontal. We were hovering, and now we are approaching the moon's surface.
धीरे धीरे लैंडर की वेगमान को कम किया जा रहा है और हम अब लगभग 50 मीटर से भी कम आ चुके हैं.
We can see the Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, who is here to encourage us, and he is critically looking at the visuals.
जी हाँ, आप अपनी स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं कि हम लैंडर मॉड्यूल.
People are applauding. Let us all wait to hear from the Secretary Department of Space and Chairman ISRO, Shri S Somnath.
लैंडर मॉड्यूल पूरी तरह से सेफली और सॉफ्टली चंद्रमा के सतह पे लैंड हो चुका है. ये हम लोगों के लिए बहुत ही गर्व की बात है. हिंदी में एक कहावत है कि चंदा मामा दूर के, लेकिन अब हम ये कह सकते हैं कि चंदा मामा अपने घर के.
बहुत ही उम्दा. The hard work of the entire ISRO community has come to fruition.
आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, नमस्कार. Sir, we have achieved soft landing on the moon. India is on the moon. Sir, I request our Honorable Prime Minister to address us and bless us. Thank you, sir.
मेरे प्यारे परिवारजनों, जब हम अपनी आंखों के सामने ऐसा इतिहास बनते हुए देखते हैं तो जीवन धन्य हो जाता है. ऐसी ऐतिहासिक घटनाएं राष्ट्र जीवन की चिरंजीव चेतना बन जाती है. ये पल अविस्मरणीय है. ये क्षण अभूतपूर्व है. ये क्षण विकसित भारत के शंखनाद का है. ये क्षण नए भारत के जयघोष का है. ये क्षण मुश्किलों के महासागर को पार करने का है. ये क्षण जीत के चंद्र पथ पर चलने का है. ये क्षण 140 करोड़ धड़कनों के सामर्थ्य का है. ये क्षण भारत में नई ऊर्जा, नया विश्वास, नई चेतना का है. ये क्षण भारत के उदयमान भाग्य के आह्वान का है. अमृत काल की प्रथम प्रभा में सफलता की ये अमृत वर्षा हुई है. हमने धरती पर संकल्प लिया और चांद पर उसे साकार किया. और हमारे वैज्ञानिक साथियों ने भी कहा, इंडिया इज नाउ ऑन द मून. आज हम अंतरिक्ष में नए भारत की नई उड़ान के साक्षी बने हैं। साथियों, मैं इस समय ब्रिक्स समिट में हिस्सा लेने के लिए दक्षिण अफ्रीका में हूं, लेकिन हर देशवासी की तरह मेरा मन चंद्रयान महाअभियान पर भी लगा हुआ था। नया इतिहास बनते ही हर भारतीय जश्न में डूब गया है। हर घर में उत्सव शुरू हो गया है। हृदय से मैं भी अपने देशवासियों के साथ, अपने परिवारजनों के साथ इस उमंग और उल्लास से जुड़ा हुआ हूं। मैं टीम चंद्रयान को, इसरो को और देश के सभी वैज्ञानिकों को जी जान से बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं, जिन्होंने इस पल के लिए वर्षों तक इतना परिश्रम किया है। उत्साह, उमंग, आनंद और भावुकता से भरे इस अद्भुत पल के लिए मैं 140 करोड़ देशवासियों को भी कोटि कोटि बधाइयां देता हूं। मेरे परिवारजनों, हमारे वैज्ञानिकों के परिश्रम और प्रतिभा से भारत चंद्रमा के उस दक्षिणी ध्रुव पर पहुंचा है, जहां आज तक दुनिया का कोई भी देश नहीं पहुंच सका। अब आज के बाद से चांद से जुड़े मिथक बदल जाएंगे, कथानक भी बदल जाएंगे और नई पीढ़ी के लिए कहावतें भी बदल जाएगी। भारत में तो हम सभी लोग धरती को मां कहते हैं, चांद को मामा बुलाते हैं। कभी कहा जाता था, चंदा मामा बहुत दूर के हैं। चंदा मामा बहुत दूर के हैं। अब एक दिन वो भी आएगा जब बच्चे कहा करेंगे, चंदा मामा बस एक टूर के हैं। Friends, on this joyous occasion, I would like to address all the people of the world, the people of every country and region. India's successful moon mission is not just India's alone. This is a year in which the world is witnessing India's G20 presidency. Our approach of one earth, one family, one future is resonating across the globe. This human-centric approach that we present and that we represent has been welcomed universally. Our moon mission is also based on the same human-centric approach. Therefore, this success belongs to all of humanity, and it will help moon missions by other countries in the future. I am confident that all countries in the world including those from the global south, are capable of achieving such feats. We can all aspire for the moon and beyond. मेरे परिवारजनों, चंद्रयान महाअभियान के ये उपलब्धि भारत की उड़ान को चंद्रमा की कक्षाओं से आगे जाएगी। हम हमारे सौर मंडल की सीमाओं का सामर्थ्य परखेंगे और मानव के लिए ब्रह्मांड की अनेक संभावनाओं को साकार करने के लिए भी जरूर काम करेंगे। हमने भविष्य के लिए कई बड़े और महत्वाकांक्षी लक्ष्य तय किए हैं। जल्द ही सूर्य के विस्तृत अध्ययन के लिए इसरो आदित्य L1 मिशन लॉन्च करने जा रहा है। इसके बाद शुक्र भी इसरो के लक्ष्यों में से एक है। गगनयान के जरिए देश अपने पहले ह्यूमन स्पेस फ्लाइट मिशन के लिए भी पूरी तैयारी के साथ जुटा है। भारत बार बार ये साबित कर रहा है कि स्काई इज नॉट द लिमिट। साथियों, साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी देश के उज्जवल भविष्य का आधार है। इसलिए आज के इस दिन को देश हमेशा हमेशा के लिए याद रखेगा। यह दिन हम सभी को एक उज्जवल भविष्य की ओर बढ़ने के लिए प्रेरित करेगा। ये दिन हमें अपने संकल्पों की सिद्धि का रास्ता दिखाएगा। ये दिन इस बात का प्रतीक है कि हार से सबक लेकर जीत कैसे हासिल की जाती है। एक बार फिर देश के सभी वैज्ञानिकों को बहुत बहुत बधाई और भविष्य के मिशन के लिए ढेरों शुभकामनाएं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you, Adharaniya Pradhan Mantri ji, for being part of our journey to this success. And let me take this opportunity to thank the people behind this mission, the project director of Chandrayaan-3. He is here. Veera Muthuvel, congratulations to you. The associate project director, Kalpana, and the mission operations director, Srikanth. And the satellite was built at your house satellite center, Shankar and the director. Thank you, sir. Hello.
It's a great moment of happiness on behalf of team. It gives me immense satisfaction on achieving this goal as a project director of this mission. The entire mission operations, right from launch till landing, happened flawlessly as per the timeline, and we became the 4th country to demonstrate the soft landing onto the moon surface, and we became the first country to go to near to the south pole of the moon. I take this opportunity to thank Navigation Guidance and Control Team, Propulsion Team, Sensors Team, and all the mainframe subsystems team who have brought success to this mission. I also take the opportunity to thank the Critical Operations Review Committee for thoroughly reviewing the mission operations right from launch till this date. The target was on spot because of the review process. I also thank the ISRO higher management, right from Chairman ISRO, Director URSC, and all the center directors and higher ISRO officials. And finally, my thanks to the Chandrayaan-3 project executives spread across the ISRO centers. Thank you.
Mission Director Srikanth.
It gives me an immense pleasure to be part of Chandrayaan-3 and acting as Mission Director. I would like to thank each and every team member who has supported in carrying out all the mission operations flawlessly. And I would like to thank my senior management, Chairman ISRO, Director URSC, my senior colleagues and my team members for carrying out and supporting all the things carrying out in a proper way. Thank you very much.
Associate Project Director Kalpana.
Good evening to all. This will remain the most memorable and the happiest moment for all of us, for our team Chandrayaan-3. We have achieved our goal flawlessly. From the day we started rebuilding our spacecraft after Chandrayaan-2 experience, it has been breathe in, breathe out Chandrayaan-3 for our team. And starting from the reconfiguration to all the special tests and the simulations we have conducted meticulously. And this has been possible only because of our immense effort from our Chandrayaan-3 team. And of course, with the guidance from our Chairman ISRO, our directors, and all our experts, with all this, it has been possible. Thank you, one and all. Thank you for all the minutest help which has been provided from all the areas of departments. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, Chandrayaan-3 is a result of the work done by thousands of scientists, engineers, our staff, and industries, and support team across ISRO and other places, other institutions. And Shankaran has been the lead of the center which integrated all of these efforts in the last so many years. So I request him to speak on behalf of all of you.
Thank you very much for the affection that has been displayed today now. Today, we have achieved what we set out to achieve in 2019. It was delayed by about 4 years, but we have done it. When Chandrayaan-3 was launched, after the separation of the spacecraft from launch vehicle, I said, I will speak the rest of the things after the soft landing. So here I will take a couple of minutes to tell the tremendous amount of effort that has been put in by the entire project team. When I say project team, it is not just only the project director and associate project director. Of course, they are the face of the project. They have been living, sleeping, eating, breathing Chandrayaan for the last 4 years. They have been supported by such a large number of people, particularly in the navigation, guidance and control area, propulsion system. This area, the amount of effort that has been put by people, the number of simulations that have been done, the number of reviews they have gone through, the amount of criticism they faced and overcome that. It is, as a person who has been watching this for the last 4 years along with them, my heart goes out for them. The amount of effort is tremendous. That is what ISRO is all about. That is what our organization has taught us to do. Now today this success has put us even more higher responsibility, as the Honorable Prime Minister was telling, because we have set the bar now so high. Nothing less spectacular than this is going to be inspiring for any of us in the future. So as the Honorable Prime Minister mentioned, we will be now looking at putting the man in space, putting a spacecraft around Venus, and landing a craft in Mars. Work on all these activities are going on for a few years. And this success today will inspire us and will spur us to take those efforts even more strongly, so that we will make our country proud again and again and again. Thank you very much for every one of you who have directly or indirectly participated in this mission, encouraged us, intentionally or unintentionally helped us in all for every one of you. A big thank you, because even casual remark, an unintended point can help a person who is striving to reach a goal. The person who is making that remark may not have meant it that way, but sometimes it can ignite that's why I said that even unintended help is very, very, very welcome, and we are very, very thankful for that. Thank you, Team ISRO, for supporting all of us. The amount of affection we received when this mission came into this final stage, the number of people who gave us confidence that nothing can go wrong and this is going to be successful. In fact, I was not that much confident, because we have seen a couple of times issues. Because I know very well, as a person who has been doing in this domain for 36 years, I know there are thousands of things. Any of that can anytime go wrong and derail. But so many of the people, because that I only see as the reflection of the effort we have put, that people are so happy to see this effort, and they want us to succeed. It is not that they know that we are going to succeed. The people want us to succeed. So thank you very much for everyone, for your love and affection. We will continue to do our best and make our flag fly, ISRO's as well as India's flag fly high. Thank you very much.
Honorable Prime Minister called me and conveyed his greetings to each one of you and your family, for the wonderful work you did in ISRO. So thanks to him for the support that he is giving to us for missions like Chandrayaan-3 and the missions that are in the offing. I think that's a great word of comfort that we are receiving for pursuing the inspirational work that we are doing for the nation. I want to tell you, and I want to thank you also for each and everyone who prayed with us in the last many days, who wanted this success to happen in ISRO. I thank all those people all around the country and maybe beyond the country for their blessings and wishes and affection that he has given to each one of us for doing this work for the last so many years. I want to specifically thank some senior people who have been standing with us, especially the name of Kiran Kumar sir and Mr. Kamalakar Rao. They have been helping so much. They were part of the team to help them to get the confidence and get the reviews done to ensure that nothing goes with any mistakes. And of course, this is not the work of us alone. This is a work of a generation of ISRO leadership and ISRO scientists. And this is a journey we started in Chandrayaan-1, continued in Chandrayaan-2, and Chandrayaan-2 craft is still working and doing a lot of communication work with us. And all the team that contributed to building Chandrayaan-1 and Chandrayaan-2 should be remembered and thanked while we celebrate Chandrayaan-3. And this is an incremental progress and definitely a great, huge one it is. And thank you so much for all the support and work that you have done.
Right then, history has indeed been created. We've gone to the moon, the south side of the moon. Neil Armstrong, when he stepped on the moon, he said, a small step for man, a giant leap for mankind. How about we change that and say a South Pole landing on moon by Chandrayaan-3 and a northward takeoff for the world? How proud are you, Archana, here?
I can't tell you. I think it was a moment. I had goosebumps, you had goosebumps. And I think those 4 minutes, the last 4 minutes, oh my God, I think I could hear that deafening applause coming from our PCR, from the newsroom, and of course the ISRO headquarters. I think it is something, it's a moment. I don't have words to describe that moment and what I'm feeling right now.
It's one of those seminal moments where after this, India will sleep a happier nation.
Yes.
Tomorrow it wakes up a prouder nation, and it wakes up a nation with so many more aspirations.
Yeah.
The moon was now within a moonshot, as they say. Chanda Mama, up tour ke is what the Prime Minister said. It's the hopes, the aspirations, the hard work, the sweat of not just those guys in ISRO and everyone who's working around ISRO, but every Indian who wishes to see the Indian flag fly in extremely high places, and the moon is just one of them. They say that Diwali is the darkest night of the year celestially because it's the new moon day, but tonight, after the soft landing there, I think it should be Diwali in India.
Absolutely. And the hero of today is ISRO. Did you look at their faces? I mean, those people, they deserve all the love, attention, credit, everything. It's a work of generations of ISRO scientists. They have dedicated their lives, and, you know, everyone. And I loved the way how ISRO chief introduced each and every member and gave credit to those people who built this mission. I think it's a great example of how leaders lead the team and give due credit to their members.
And with due credit, they should also have due fame, because these are gentle giants. They could be walking past you and you perhaps might not recognize them. But the kind of work that they're doing behind the scenes, behind, you know, the fame that a lot of other heroes get, I think these guys deserve to be right there up with all the most famous Indians that we know of, this team, the previous teams, and everyone who's worked for this mission moon to be extremely successful. But as they say, this is just one of the missions, an incremental mission. And now we have the sun, we have Venus, it's called Chandrayaan, and Aditya L1. We have the entire space, the entire galaxy to explore. So we're extremely happy for India and India's contribution to the world from ISRO and everything that we've done around at a fraction of the cost.
Absolutely.
So India will lead the next way forward.
And if we draw a parallel, or if we just can imagine 2019, remember the former ISRO chief got so emotional when the lander crashed. Prime Minister Modi was consoling him, and today those upgrades were made. We learned from the challenges and mistakes of Chandrayaan-2, and today that applause, I think it beautifully sums up that journey from 2019 to 2023. I think it's a beautiful story. It's like a team that lost a World Cup and coming back in such a beautiful, resounding victory. I think it's just beautiful.
It is a beautiful moment. So let's also get reactions coming in from our expert panel who has been with us through this journey the last 1 hour or so. Mr. Raja Guha Thakurta, how happy are you?
Super happy, very, very happy. I've been getting messages from my family in real time. Even though I have had nothing to do with the mission, there's just so much pride all around. It's a wonderful moment. I'm grateful to you for allowing me to be part of this moment. Thank you.
Archana, would you say Sare Jahan se Acha Hindustan Hamara?
It's a proud moment. Yeah, very proud moment, and congratulations to ISRO. Yeah, and it's a great achievement. And we had, festivity here in IIT Guwahati. All of my friends and families are assembled in our auditorium to see the success. So it's a proud moment. Thank you.
It's a proud moment, and I can see a visibly emotional moment as well. Everyone out here got goosebumps as that happened too. Kishan, what are your thoughts here?
I think it's an amazing effort put in by ISRO. Everyone here at Galaxy is celebrating and everyone's very happy. It's a very proud moment for all, for whole of India. I'm also very happy and just stunned to see it in my lifetime. To be honest, this is a very proud and happy moment for me as well.
Right, Mr. Thakurta, I want to ask you something, and this is, you know, it's an incredible feat, it's an incredible achievement, and something that the world will notice, or it has already noticed. I think long ago there was an editorial, a very you know, insulting editorial from a leading publication that showed a man with a kettle knocking outside an elite club when India achieved that Mars mission. I think. Of course, we don't need to prove it to the world, but I think now India has emerged, I mean, I could be wrong, but India has emerged an undisputed leader in delivering successful and cost-effective missions. We have certainly led by example as to how space explorations and space missions can be done with controlled budget.
Yeah. You know, I happened to be in India 4 years ago in August 2019 when Chandrayaan-2 there was the mishap near the end of the mission. I remember the disappointment. I'm delighted to be, you know, I'm in Hyderabad right now. I'm back in India. Chandrayaan-3 was a successful landing. It feels like having come around a full circle, really, no pun intended.
Yes.
Coming down a full circle.
Yes.
Arjuna, now from, you know, the academic standpoint, the landing has happened, the celebrations have happened, and while we're celebrating, we should not forget that there is a job for the lander to do. What are the things you are hoping that it will find, and what are the things that they find will make you most excited? Of course, we know about ice and all the other elements that they would, but is there any surprise that you're hoping for that we find on the moon?
Yeah, so that it's very important that, see, ISRO wanted to demonstrate this soft landing capability. Along with that, they selected a site which is not gone by other missions, okay? So the South Pole, which is like no other landers have gone there. You know, the Apollo missions, those are all in the near side of the moon. And what we are looking is how the South Pole is different in compositional surface compositions of South Pole, how much it is different from the other parts of the moon. So, and along with that, we have, I mean, from evidences from the orbital data that there could be solid water in the form of ice. And other things like what other things that we can think about, like, for example, the elements that are that may be totally, it could be different from what we are seeing from the other parts of the moon. I think Chang'e 4 went to the far side, but still, I mean, towards the South Pole, what is it looking like? That's what we are seeing. So the next 14 days is very, I mean, exciting for people like me, that what type of data are coming from there, from the rover and the lander. Obviously, the lander will be there in that same place, but the rover can move a little bit around and then search for more evidences of the surface compositions of the that South Pole, and also about the type of water that we are having in South Pole. And this will be helpful. I think the Artemis mission that is going to happen in the later years, they may also be looking forward to what we find from this mission. So that's what it is like more important, that after this landing, this safe landing, what are we going to find from this particular region of interest? And as you know, all are looking to the South Pole. All missions are looking to the South Pole. Yeah, that's where we are looking. Yeah.
Gentlemen, lady, just hang in there. What we'll do is we've, you know, been overrun with emotions, fatigue, goosebumps, and celebrations. We take a short break, come back and continue our discussion. Also, perhaps get in visuals from across the country how the celebrations are as India has successfully made a soft landing on the South Pole of the moon, the first nation in the world to do so. Take a break, come back, stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching us on our special coverage of India's historic landing, soft landing on the southern side of the moon. We've done that. We've celebrated. We've spoken to our expert battery of guests as well. We're still joined by Rajat Guha Thakurta and Archana Nair. But Shivani Bajaj joins us now. We told you we're getting you coverage from across the country. Shivani Bajaj is in Delhi, and she brings us everything that's taking place out there.
India is now on the moon. That were the words of Prime Minister Narendra Modi that he used as he congratulated the team of ISRO and the country for the historic moment of Chandrayaan-3 landing on the south pole of the moon. Yes, the moment people across India were waiting for with bated breath is here. Chandrayaan-3's Vikram lander has made a successful soft landing on the moon's south pole. And I'm standing here in the CSIR headquarters in New Delhi, and the atmosphere here is absolutely electric. There is excitement, happiness and a lot of adrenaline, if I could say, for the last half an hour since India became the first country to land on the southern side of the moon. School students, scientists, government secretaries and MOS Department of Space, Dr. Jitendra Singh were present here to witness this historical event. The hall where I am standing, well yes, the hall where I am standing is echoing with cheers and Jai Hind slogans and Vande Mataram slogans. Since the landing was done, this is truly an impeccable feat, and the atmosphere here is fitting.
All right, thank you, Shivani, for that update and getting us the sentiment on ground. All right, let's go back to our guests to have this conversation on this incredible achievement. Professor Thakurta is still with us, and Archana Nair of IIT Guwahati. Professor Thakurta, I wanted to understand from you, now that this mission has been accomplished, we will await the experiments that will be conducted on the lunar surface. Now, we understand that this is, a very secretive part of the moon, and a lot of people have said that there will be moon colonies. Who knows? There will be moon tourism. How credible do you think these assumptions are? How credible or how possible do you think this is?
Well, I've been an astrophysicist for close to 40 years, and today's science fiction becomes tomorrow's science. That's been a recurring theme. Things that seem impossible, unimaginable, matter of fantasy today, become within reach through hard work and research and effort and time, really, and development of technology. So I have no doubt that this is a giant step in, in the direction of understanding space in terms of understanding and travel through the solar system. Huge moment.
Huge moment indeed. You think, now that we've gone to the moon, the soft side or the south side of the moon, a soft landing there, the eyes for the next missions which are there. We have, Aditya L1, we have the Chandrayaan, which goes to the Venus. How, how important and possible are these ambitions now for us?
Is that directed to me?
Yes.
Every one of these missions, whether the landing is soft or even a crashed landing, teaches us things, brings us closer to missions to other planets. These are, I think we're definitely one step closer. The Venus surface is far less understood. The Martian than the lunar surface, of course. Same is true for the Martian surface. These are relatively poorly understood systems. There's a lot to learn. When I say poorly understood, I don't mean that as a negative. There's a rich opportunity to understand the origins of the solar system and our planet, and indeed the origin of solar systems in general.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Thakurta, for that. And I would also like to thank Archana Nair and other guests who joined us on this big day, on this momentous occasion. India has become the first country to land on the south pole of the moon. It's for the history books. Generations will remember this incredible feat. Mangalam, how would you like to end this coverage that we started with? Fingers crossed, and we were hopeful that India will achieve this feat.
We started with fingers crossed. All we can do is join hands and thank everyone who worked extremely hard at ISRO for making this a proud moment for every Indian. And like I said, it was a great day. India sleeps well tonight and opens their eyes with a lot more
ambition. All right, and we should also, when we look at the moon today, I think we should be proud, and there's going to be a slice of India, I think, somewhere that I don't know, but I think it's a great day, and congratulations to Team ISRO and congratulations to Team India. With that, it's a wrap on this broadcast. We'll be back with more news and updates.